I'm ready. You say you want me to kick it off?
Yeah, let's do it.
Do it.
Hey everybody, and welcome to episode 6 of the
6
Out of Potions podcast. This time, we are going to be doing the Game Awards Game of the Year nominees, running through each of the categories ourselves and weighing in on it. I'm sure we're all going to agree on everything, so it'll probably be just a nice, easygoing episode where we all agree on everything.
5 minutes tops.
Yeah.
In and out.
I'm Warren. And that's it, I guess, yeah.
I'm Zell.
I am Red World. I'm also very sick currently, so I will be doing my best not to cough throughout this, but inevitably it's going to happen.
All right. Well, we got the list up on the screen. If it's unreadable, which it should be readable in the recording, I think, I would recommend bringing it up yourself. If you just go to thegameawards.com under nominees, this list is there for anybody to check out and even vote on themselves.
Yeah, you should, everyone should vote. Everyone should vote. Let your voice be heard.
Yeah. We're going to start at the bottom because those categories suck, and then we're going to move up towards the top where the categories don't suck. So we're going to start with Best Esports Event.
All right. Best esports event.
Overwatch BlizzCon.
You know, it wasn't on here.
Oh, it's weird. That's weird how it's not there. Oh, that's crazy.
Read them off.
We got 2023 League of Legends, Blast.tv Paris Major. Yep. Evo 2023, Dota 2, and Valorant. I mean, these really come down to just what games you give a shit about, right? If you don't, it's not like a big fan of Valorant is going to pick League of Legends or vice versa, and I didn't watch any of these. So I voted for Evo because I know it's a big fighting game one.
Yeah, that's probably what I would have picked too, but I don't have any vested interest in any of these.
Yeah, not a lot of input here either. I think I watched a little bit of Worlds. I always like watching Worlds. It's a big production. I think they do a good job. I catch a little bit of Valorant here and there. I think Valorant's a little bit harder to watch as a professional game because you have to like swap between like perspectives, whereas like League you can sort of do a third person overview, which I think makes a good kind of tournament experience. And then Evo, you said fighting games?
Yeah, Evo's, I think it's just a bunch of different fighting games are covered during Evo.
Yeah, I didn't really catch it, but I'm sure it's really well done. No real opinions here.
Fighting games
Does
are
Smash
always,
Bros?
I don't think Smash Bros is Smash. Wait, hold on.
I think it was at one point.
Yeah, I definitely feel like Smash Bros and Evo have gone together before. I don't know this year.
Yeah, but the cool thing about Evo as well is I believe that's also where they generally show off like new stuff, like a lot of like the Game Awards. I think they'll like, you know, if for example there's a new Tekken coming up, I think they probably showed that off a little bit during it, things like that. So it's just a nice little showcase. So that's why I voted Evo, because it's my favorite. I watch it every year.
All right. I'm honestly down to skip esports coach.
Yeah, I clicked
literally
in
don't know a
and
single one.
I recognize nobody. Best esports team, same thing for me. If you want to look at it, go for it.
I don't really follow teams that closely. Zell, maybe you do. Is that something you want to look at?
Yeah, let's just do a quick glance, because
Okay.
I want to see if Method or Cloud9 are on there.
We got a couple Valorant, a Dota 2, League, and Counter-Strike. So if you know Valorant's Evil Geniuses or Fnatic, if you know Dota 2's Gladiators, or League's JD Gaming, or Counter-Strike's Team Vitality, then you've got to vote.
Nope. No WoW Arena, no Overwatch. No.
Well, those aren't esports. Best esports
Dang.
athlete. Esports athlete. I also don't recognize a single name in here.
Yeah, I don't think I will either. Well, I'll recognize some of the names, but like I just don't follow
Faker.
esports close enough to have an opinion.
Actually, I do. For some reason, I know the name Faker, even though I don't watch
Yeah.
League. So I'm going to say that one because he's transcended.
Yeah, he sticks out to me as I recognize the name too as like a very famous League of Legends player. I couldn't say a single thing about him.
Best esports game. Counter-Strike 2 is brand new. Dota 2 is super old. League is super old. PUBG Mobile specifically is the weirdest thing I've seen. and
Why
Valorant.
would that be on here?
Why PUBG Mobile? I mean, if it's a
That is
popularity
bizarre.
contest, there's a reason it's there. It must be in the top 5. That
That
said,
is wild.
I voted for PUBG Mobile. All right. If you guys have bigger thoughts, I mean, the only one of these that I've had any vested interest in the last year at all was Valorant. So I'd say Valorant, but
I've played all of these. Well, I haven't played PUBG Mobile. I've played PUBG, but otherwise I've played all of these. I have an opinion.
okay. What's your opinion?
Um, I like playing League of Legends or Valorant the most out of all of these. But as far as like an actual esports go, I feel like League of Legends is like the football of esports. Um, I probably have to recognize though that I think Counter Strike might be a bigger esport. I was just watching someone talk about Counter Strike, how it's like Counter Strike's been popular and in demand for like the last 30 years, and it probably still will be in another 30 years. So I think there's something to be said about like the longevity of why it's interesting to play and watch Counter Strike competitive.
Yeah. If these were all ice cream flavors, Counter Strike 2 would be vanilla. You know, it's pretty basic, but it's not going away. As long as they stick to the basic formula, I mean, they really can't fuck up too bad, right? So we
got an
all
opinion on
voted for
that?
PUBG Mobile.
I haven't played any of these in such a long time. My knee-jerk reaction is to go with Counter-Strike 2. Just because I did play Counter-Strike back in the day. It is a lot of fun to watch, especially like really good players. Valorant, I kind of tend to shy away from just a little bit. I think the abilities kind of make the game fast, where Counter-Strike is much slower and easier to watch as like a spectator. But I also, I haven't played League in years, but I enjoy watching League also. So I'd have to land on either League or Counter-Strike.
All right.
Okay, on to content creator of the year. Now, you guys do watch streamers. Do any of these
Emmerich.
names? Yeah, so you watch porn, but streamers on video games and stuff.
I only recognize Cypher PK. Also met him in person at TwitchCon 2022.
Oh,
I also only recognize Cypher PK.
I don't recognize any of them. I voted for Quackity because it was the funnest one to say out loud.
All right, we could probably gloss over that one. Most anticipated game. This ought to be interesting.
Oh.
Yeah, so I was actually kind of split on this one.
Well, let's read them off. Let's read them off.
So on the list here we have Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which is the next installment of the remake series of Final Fantasy VII. Hades 2, the new Like a Dragon game, Infinite Wealth. Star Wars Outlaws, which if you've seen anything about it, it's kind of just it's open world format, seeming map with things to go check out kind of game, but it's Star Wars. And Tekken 8. Now this is obviously just person to person, differs considerably. So for me,
This is a fun category.
yeah.
It is a cool category. It's a little unique. It's not just like which is the best. This is kind of cool. What do you think is the most anticipated game for 2023? Although I guess these aren't necessarily released in 2023, but currently anticipated.
I had to pick like my personal anticipated. I didn't vote to what I think is the world's most anticipated. That I would imagine is either Final Fantasy or fighting games are kind of out of my scope, but I know that Tekken's a big deal for fighting game people. But I would imagine Final Fantasy. For me personally, it was Hades 2. Just loved Hades, one of my favorite games of all time. And yeah.
What do you think, Zelly?
I'm trying to be objective about it.
You can be both.
Objectively, yeah, I think objectively, I don't know how anything beats Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I also am a big Hades fan. I don't know what Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth is. I didn't know there was a new Star Wars game coming out, but I mean, Star Wars anything is a goldmine.
Yeah, I mean, the gameplay looked fun, if not basic. if you're familiar with any game like that, Hogwarts, Assassin's Creed, any of that structure, open world game, Horizon, any of those, it's that, but
That sounds good.
looks like Star. I mean, yeah, it'll probably be fun as hell.
I'm gonna have to go Final Fantasy with both objective and personal. I think FF7 Rebirth is just gonna be too hard to beat.
Yeah, I don't think there's any world where Final Fantasy VII Rebirth loses this as probably the most anticipated game. I can see the argument for Hades, just personally. Also, I loved Hades 1. I'm sure Hades 2 will be great. Um, I don't have high hopes for Star Wars Outlaws, but I hope that it's something rad and kind of takes me by surprise. You know, if it's like a Hogwarts Legacy but Star Wars, like, I would be great. I'd love it. And I've literally never even heard of Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. So
Are you familiar with the Yakuza games at all?
no.
Oh, well,
Little bit.
if you're familiar with Yakuza games, Like a Dragon is the rebrand of Yakuza. I think Like a Dragon is actually what it's always been called, like in Japan. They called it Yakuza over here, and then they officially changed it to Like a Dragon like 1 or 2 games ago. So it's just
Gotcha.
the next installment in that. The only thing that's come out that I've seen for Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth was a trailer where the main character like washed up on a beach ass naked, and it was doing that like Austin Powers intro, like covering his dick with people like in the foreground kind of thing. But yeah, I don't know. I've never gotten to dive into those games, but they're very much like they look like my shit, so I'll probably check it out or check out the earlier installments and then go into it. Yeah.
You know what I'm surprised is not on there, and I think might actually take the category? The new Grand Theft Auto.
Get out of here, dude.
Dude, Grand Theft Auto is massive. It's not a game I enjoy, but that game is huge.
You think it would win over Final Fantasy VII Rebirth for most anticipated objectively?
I think
I don't think it would win, but I think it would put up the biggest competition of these on the screen here.
I think if there was more to show from it other than like because they haven't even shown really a trailer or anything, like Rockstar, the most they've done with it is confirming like, yes, it's happening soon, and yes, you're going to see some stuff soon. So I think it's just they haven't put out enough to justify being on the list. I think had they done that, it would be on here, and there's a huge chance it would take it.
I think it's fair to say it deserves a nomination. I would concede that, but I don't think it could beat Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
What about Ashes of Creation? Like, come on.
What is that?
I think it's been anticipated for 15 years.
By
true.
you and 4 really hardcore fans.
It's like the most anticipated MMORPG of all time. But I don't know what the criteria is that went into this. Like, I don't know what defines, you know, like did he have to have 2024 release dates or something? You know, like I don't know. But I think both are notable potential contenders that could have made the list.
Okay, sorry. We can move on.
It's good. Best adaptation.
Oh, hold on, let me get in
I
there.
might need a definition for what that means.
So it's an adaptation out of the video game genre of a video game property.
Recognizing outstanding creative work that faithfully and authentically adapts a video game to another entertainment medium.
So I think if that's the criteria, like, then you'd have to take Gran Turismo off the list. But okay, so the nominees on here, we have Castlevania Nocturne, which is an animated on Netflix, I imagine, because that's where all the animated Castlevania stuff goes. I actually hear really good things about it. I've seen a little bit of it, and the animation style is fucking cool.
Yeah, that's really good. I really like Castlevania.
Next is the Gran Turismo movie, which, if you don't know anything about it, that's not a movie that's trying to be the game Gran Turismo. It's a true story about a kid who played Gran Turismo, and that inspired him to try racing, and he was able to like join a tournament and actually become a professional race car driver. So it's like it's a movie about video games in that way. Last of Us, which is in a lot of ways a 1-for-1 adaptation of the first game. Super Mario Bros. Movie, which was fun, but an Illumination movie. And then Twisted Metal.
I mean, my
Uh,
my pick's got to be Castlevania on here. I don't know about you guys.
I didn't know there was a Twisted Metal movie
It's a
coming out.
TV show. It's already out.
Oh,
It's
that's
on
interesting.
it's
I'd be
on
curious to see what
Peacock.
that looks like.
If you look it up, I don't know if you're familiar with Death Race. It looks like it's just kind of like a darker style comedy, is the way it's
Hmm.
being played. Uh, one of the guy playing Sweet Tooth is the person is not the voice. The person is like I want to say like a famous wrestler like in the WWE, and the voice is oh god, he's got such a distinctive voice. BoJack Horseman, he's got that like gruff voice. He's in a lot of comedies.
I don't know, but I definitely have a piece to say. I don't know
Go
if you want me to go first or if
go
you
for
want
it.
to take it away.
Will Arnett. There it is. Sorry. Anyway,
So the only one of these I've watched is The Last of Us. So I can't really speak to the others. If I'm talking about the criteria, recognizing outstanding creative work that faithfully and authentically adapts the video game, I actually think Last of Us did a really poor job. I think they took a lot of liberties, which is fine in and of itself. Like they did an adaptation of the game to to a to a different medium, but I don't think that it authentically or faithfully adapts the game. So I don't think it is a strong contender in my opinion. I haven't watched the Super Mario Bros. Movie, but I heard that it like swept the world and was like amazing. I haven't seen it myself, so I don't really have a vote to cast here other than shooting down one of the nominees.
yeah, I would disagree. I think Last of Us, with any adaptation, there's going to be changes. If it was one for one, I think it faithfully and authentically does it in a way that it doesn't have. One for one does not mean, the right way to have done it. I think that they made changes where needed. There was a couple things I didn't like about it, but very little that I did not like about it. I mean, but I think when it comes down to this, you're really just picking the one you liked the best. I've seen Castlevania, but not Castlevania Nocturne. I watched a couple clips of Twisted Metal. Didn't really look like it was up my alley. Super Mario Bros. Movie, if you're familiar with like, comedic 3D animated movies that, don't really like have any many challenging ideas. Not you'd expect that out of Mario, but you know what I mean. It's just the safest kind of adaptation they could have done, but it's fun. And I don't know. My vote would go for Last of Us. And
Zell, did you already say your vote?
You said Castlevania.
I think Castlevania. I watched like 75% of the Mario movie, and I think fun was the best way to describe it. It was like, it really threw me off that they got rid of the accents, and I don't know why that was such a big deal to me, but the fact that Mario was just like talking in Chris Pratt's voice and not an Italian plumber like really threw me off.
I think it would have been the worst thing in the world to hear that man go "ho hiya" the entire movie. It would have ruined my life.
I think that would have been rough too.
I think that just some bland forget like other characters were really good in it, but you're not getting anything crazy out of it. But if you want to go into a movie and just like get a million references in literally every corner, then it's great. I mean, they got Mario Kart, they got Smash Bros, they got everything.
It's also free to watch on Southwest flights at the moment, so.
Oh, so yeah, just book a ticket and check out the Mario movie today.
All right, best multiplayer.
Oh no.
Let's see what
I'm gonna be disappointed.
So first of all, the nominees:
Okay. All
Baldur's
right.
Gate, Baldur's Gate 3, Diablo 4, Party Animals, Street Fighter 6, and Super Mario Brothers Wonder.
This has
Let's
to
go
just go to
first.
personal preference because they all it's not even like they're excluding like competitive ones in a lot of ways too, so it's just like what made you pick these, and they're all so different that I feel like you could pick any one and have a really good argument for it. It's like they got
Well, maybe it's worth reading what they kind of give, like, I don't, it's kind of a criteria statement. under the category. So in this, they said for outstanding online multiplayer gameplay and design, including co-op and massively multiplayer experiences, irrespective of game, genre, or platform.
Just saying like multiplayer in this thing was done amazingly, kind of thing.
That's kind of how I'm interpreting it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
like the multiplayer was done well in this game.
as far
Here's
as
5. Do you
implementation,
agree?
from what I know about Baldur's Gate 3, it was done amazingly. Like a lot of care was put into changing the entire approach of the game to consider having, two people playing together and how that would look with your, non-player character party members versus having all 4 people be controlled by, you guys and like see how that changes. So when it comes to that, it did do good. I voted Street Fighter 6 just because I've heard a lot of talk about it and read a lot about it. Party Animals, I don't know how that got on here. I've heard of it vaguely. Maybe it's way bigger than I thought, but as far as I know, it was like a game that came out a few months ago and it's just like a Fall Guys-esque type of thing. You guys can talk on
Yeah.
Diablo way better than I can.
I've got some harsh feedback here.
Let it out, brother.
Harsh for who? What?
I mean, this whole category, I don't know how. I mean, so Baldur's Gate, I can't really speak to. I've heard nothing but amazing things about the game in every regard. So I'm going to assume their multiplayer is also amazing. How is Street Fighter 6 multiplayer any different than any other fighting game that exists on the planet? Like, I don't understand how they selected Street Fighter 6. Like, all fighting games are one-on-one. So, Party Animals I see quite a lot.
Can you explain what that is? I've never heard of Party Animals.
If I'm thinking of the right game, it is very. What was the game you just mentioned, Warren?
Fall Guys, kind of, yeah. Those kind of like, what's the other one
Yeah.
where the guys like try to?
Gang Beasts.
It's it's
Yeah.
it's in that camp, but I think
Gotcha.
maybe it's a Mario Party ish. But Zell might know better than me.
Yeah, I think so. Like a couple of the rounds I've watched, it's like everyone's on a bridge and you got to be the last guy on the bridge and they can like throw each other off. So it's like silly little fun party games. I think it works really well for like streams and like Discord parties.
Mm-hmm.
As far as multiplayer goes, I think it's a really good time, especially for the price point.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I don't know anything about Super Mario, but they usually, hit the nail on the head there. Diablo 4 has probably got one of the most offensive multiplayer installations of any game I've ever played. Like the amount of detail that they forgot. Like they don't have a general chat. Diablo 4 does not have a general chat. If someone whispers you cannot invite them to your party unless you click their name, add them as a friend, and then go to your Battle.net's friends list and invite them to a party. Like I cannot think of a least like innovative or like even mainstream multiplayer system than Diablo 4. Now, I'm being very harsh. I love Diablo 4. I'm actually actively playing it right now. But that is definitely like one of the most
While we're recording?
Yeah, right on the
Zell.
side. I'm leveling up. But yeah, no general chat. It's extremely hard to get into a party with anyone. The multiplayer it's rough. So my vote would be probably knowing nothing about any of these Baldur's Gate 3.
I'll run through these. I'm gonna disagree on Baldur's Gate 3. I love the game. It's gonna come up in other categories. Spoilers. But the multiplayer, I know it's in the game. I've watched a little bit of the multiplayer. I don't think the genre wants to be multiplayer. I think it's a little bit awkward in my opinion the way it runs. I'm sure it's not terrible. I haven't tried the multiplayer myself. I've just seen it. I won't like shit on it, but I'm not sure that I would. I don't think I would have it win any awards in my opinion. Diablo 4, I'll disagree with Zell a little bit. I think everything he said is valid and true, and I think Diablo 4 is really bad. I think for multiplayer if you're trying to play with anyone who's not like a friend of yours. I think that is true. If you are friends though, it's pretty quick and easy to just like party up and you can jump in and out of content really fast and like teleport to each other, all that type of thing. I think they made a lot of things really easy, and then like on the other end of the spectrum, they made a lot of things really hard. Is it award winning based on that? Probably not, because I think they had a lot of like really obvious whiffs. I also can't understand why Street Fighter would be on here. I don't know what Super Mario Brothers Wonder is. I'm assuming it's just another Super Mario Brothers installment, like main series installment. So I wouldn't doubt that it has some aspect of multiplayer. But in my opinion, I think like the normal like canon Mario games, um, I think their multiplayer tends to be kind of like not insanely good, unless it's like a multiplayer Mario, like a Mario Party.
So
Um,
this one, with Street Fighter Six, what I know about it, and then the reviews I've seen and stuff. Aside from just obviously competitive, one-on-one fights, there's I want to say a lot of different types of games, like a lot of innovations they've done in that. Apparently the netcode is really good, whatever the fuck that means. I think it's just good connection. They figured it out. But then also there's like a hub world where you can like interact with all the other like people outside of those fights and things like that. And it whether or not that should put it above other games in multiplayer. I mean, it is multiplayer and it's good, I guess, but I don't know. For
I,
Mar,
I was just gonna finish real quick. I would probably give my vote ultimately to Party Animals, even though I haven't played it. If you tell me that it's anything like Gang Beasts or Fall Guys, I think those games are just incredible party games. Like they're so much fun to jump in with your friends. Gang Beasts didn't come out in 2023, which is why I don't, it's not up here. But if it's even remotely like Gang Beasts, I think that's just like the ultimate multiplayer party experience. That's the end of it.
and the last thing is with Mario Wonder. Yeah, if you don't know anything about Mario Wonder, it's the next. Mario is kind of split off, right? There's like the main line, like 3D kind of installments. There's all the different types of like go karting and Mario parties and all that, and then there's the 2D games. This is the next 2D Mario game, which if you don't know are the best selling like Nintendo games. Like they're cash cows. There's just endless streams of money that just go and go and go. Probably because it's the easiest one for any family to go in and go, oh, like it's a Mario, like get that for our grandkid. But as far as I know about the multiplayer, it's got a lot of integrations to like let adults play with kids and like have special characters that the kids can play, that the kid can play as like a Yoshi and the Yoshi can't die or whatever, but then like you can like jump on the Yoshi's back so you can like carry your family through. So it's got a lot of quality life stuff like that. And then there's a lot of like
It just feels too niche to me. It just feels too niche.
That's not niche at all. It's literally one of the biggest titles that of type
I'm
of
talking
game
about
that Nintendo.
that multiplayer functionality. That's
No,
type
that's the
of multiplayer
thing. That's because
functionality.
we're in our bubble. Like that's why this Mario thing is too big. Like people like us, like gamers, like don't really get into Mario Wonder, but like that's the audience and it's massive. It's those kind of features are known and loved. But then on top of that, they have like I don't know if it's only Ghost. There might be like interaction, but like while you play, there's like the ability to like see other people and the way they're interacting with the world. And it's someone even compared it to a Strand game, because if you know anything about the like Death Stranding, with like leaving bridges and stuff for other people to make use of and shit like that. Anyway, I clicked Mario.
All right. Best sports and racing game.
Pass. I clicked it. No, I got nothing. I mean,
I'm down to pass it too. I don't know any of these games.
Forza.
yeah,
So I wanna know.
yeah, Forza. Yeah, that's it. They did it.
My hot take is all sports games are bad games. So pass.
All right, best sim/strategy game. We got Advanced Wars 1 and 2 Reboot Camp. We have Cities Skylines 2, Company of Heroes 3, Fire Emblem Engage, and Pikmin 4. I have played none. I know about Pikmin. I know about Advanced Wars. I know about Fire Emblem. So, there you have it.
I know nothing about any of those, but it's got to be Fire Emblem.
I would probably second Fire Emblem. I'm familiar with the Pikmin franchise. I'm familiar with the Fire Emblem franchise. The other three I'm not super familiar with. I think City Skylines is probably something like SimCity. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, Fire Emblem being a what do they call them? Like tactical RPGs. These like top-down grid-based RPGs, turn-based, the whole 9 yards. I absolutely love the genre. Final Fantasy Tactics is like my intro to that genre. Fire Emblem's very much like of the same vein. Can't get enough of them. Make them to the end of time.
Yeah. From what I know about Fire Emblem Engage, the sentiment I've heard from pretty much everybody, all the reviewers and everything, is like maybe the best on the tactics end that Fire Emblem has ever done. And
Oh,
then,
really?
but on the story end, it's the exact opposite, and the story's like hot shit, like hot garbage.
Honestly, I could live with that.
So,
Honestly,
yeah, it's got this cool like integration of like all the previous heroes that the main character of this game like summons through gems or some shit. So like you can have like Marth show up and stuff like that, and it's actually like part of the story kind of in a way. So yeah, I clicked Fire Emblem just because it's hard to go wrong as far as a strategy game, since that one's kind of top shelf, best in class.
best family game.
Got Disney Illusion Island, Party Animals again, Pikmin 4, Sonic Superstars, Jesus, and Mario Wonder. I clicked Mario. I haven't played any of them. I don't know how Pikmin 4 does as a family game. I guess it's multiplayer. I don't. Disney Illusion Island is a platformer, like side-scroller platformer, that I heard mixed reviews on. Mixed reviews on Sonic 2. So I guess either Party Animals or Mario. But having played none of them, my vote holds no weight.
I also have nothing to offer, but my vote would be for Sonic.
Okay.
For Sonic?
Congratulations to Sonic. He's done it.
I don't have much to say here either. I would assume Party Animals again, just because I think it's a fun party game. But we'll probably skip through that category.
It's got party in the name. Okay.
We're getting to the good categories now. I think the starting ones are a little rough, which is why we're going to start with those. We're working our way up to actual like game of the year discussion. So on our way there, best fighting game.
Never heard of God of Rock. Even a little. Mortal Kombat is Mortal Kombat. You'll like it bloody. You like combos that last 15 minutes. You got Mortal Kombat. You've got All Stars Brawl, which is a Smash knockoff. I don't know what Pocket Bravery is, and then obviously Street Fighter. Just based on the reviews I know, I said Street Fighter, but I generally buy a Mortal Kombat once it goes on sale just to go through the story, because the stories are always like super campy and dumb. But I haven't played any of them and currently have no plans to.
Yeah, I'd go Mortal Kombat 1. I like that Mortal Kombat's a little bit darker and grittier than Street Fighter. Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl is just way too goofy for me. And I don't know what God of Rock or Pocket Bravery are.
Similar, I know of Mortal Kombat, I know of Street Fighter. Although I'm gonna go with Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl. I haven't seen the second one, but I saw the first one that came out, and it is cartoony and it is goofy, but it's the most like Super Smash Brothers that I've seen. And I would love for Super Smash Brothers to start getting competition, because they're kind of like in a niche of their own. And I think that there's a lot of improvement that can be made in that field. And I know Nickelodeon All Stars, at least the first one, was doing some really cool stuff to kind of like challenge the Super Smash Bros. Mold. So hopefully All Star 2 did the same thing. But otherwise, I've never been too big on like the 1v1 kind of 2D fighter games. I'm terrible at them. I've never been able to really enjoy them.
That is you make me so mad. You make me so mad. Oh god. So it wasn't Nickelodeon. What was the other Nickelodeon All-Stars type one that came out?
There was Brawlhalla. There was
Oh God, I actually played a lot of it for like a month, like earlier this year, but I can't think of the name of it. But it was like the like Warner Brothers kind of characters. Like there was Finn and Jake and the Iron
Mr.
Giant.
Toast or whatever that guy was.
I don't know. I know Iron Giant was in it. I know that freaking give me Multiverses. So Multiverses came out, but Red, knowing nothing about it, when I pitched it to him and said, "Hey, look, it's literally free. It's a competitor. It's made by a big company. It's got big name IP, and I'm having a lot of fun with it." He flat up was like, "I've got Smash. I don't know why I would need a different type of Smash game because I have Smash." And then that was the end of the conversation. So you saying that is so infuriating.
I don't think that Warner Bros. One looked good. I do think the Nickelodeon one looked pretty decent. I also recognize like the Nickelodeon IPs way more than I recognize like, I don't know, Wonder Woman and stuff. Like that's not interesting to me. Being SpongeBob SquarePants is interesting to me.
One of the last things I ever expect you to say. I feel like if I said the word SpongeBob, you'd slap me in the face if you were in like close enough contact range.
That's crazy. I love SpongeBob SquarePants. You don't even know me, dude.
I get so, just make me so mad, so mad.
Best RPG.
Let's go.
This one, I've been waiting to get to this one. So contenders. Well, first of all, best game designed with rich player character customization and progression, including massively multiplayer experiences. And the contenders are Baldur's Gate 3, Final Fantasy 16, Lies of P, Sea of Stars, and Starfield.
There are a few categories I can imagine showing up with Baldur's Gate 3 attached to them that don't have me click them immediately. Going through the other contenders, Red's the only one that played Final Fantasy 16 all the way through. It's on my log, but not prioritizing it. I haven't really been playing too many games, so Lies of P is the Pinocchio version of Bloodborne. I heard good things, but whether or not it's against these guys, I don't know. Sea of Stars is like is that the Chrono Trigger homage kind of like style? I want to say that's what it is. I've heard really good things.
It looks really good.
I really want to play it. And then Starfield, Bethesda's third pillar, or their plan for it.
Got an opinion?
Zell?
Well, my first opinion is that Final Fantasy 16 should not be on this list. I'm going to say that, Baldur's Gate 3 is probably going to be possible to beat in this category. But for me personally, I'd have to go with Lies of P or Sea of Stars. Lies of P, you just can't beat that Bloodborne vibe. I'm not really on board with the Pinocchio thing, but, I think the gameplay would win me over. But honestly, if I had to choose one here, I think I might actually go with Sea of Stars. This game just looks
it looks so good. I'm mad that I haven't tried it yet, but I got so many things to try.
The graphics are gorgeous. It gives me old school Final Fantasy / Chrono Trigger it just looks so good. I recognize that Starfield is a big franchise, but again, I don't know if I've ever really gotten to Bethesda games. For some reason, their design just doesn't tickle my brain right.
Yeah, you've been one of the only people I've known that big Bethesda games just haven't captured you or affected you at all.
I don't know why.
Sorry, was that all?
Yeah, Sea of Stars is my vote.
You want to go? Or you want me to go, Warren?
Yeah, I'll go. I think Baldur's Gate, Final Fantasy 16. I'm actually kind of in the camp with Zell. If you're defining it by this white text here, rich player character customization and progression does that act? I mean, you can customize kind of like your attack layouts, but you can do that in Tekken, and does that make it an RPG? It's a story. I mean, like that's generally where you drop like single player story games, but I don't know. Again, it's hard to say that anything holds a candle to Baldur's Gate, but yeah, there's nothing else I would put. I haven't played the others. I can't weigh in. I would love to play Sea of Stars, and I think if I played it through, it looks very much my shit. I might even go for it had I played it.
Well, okay, so I think Baldur's Gate 3 is gonna win. I would probably also vote for it to win, as best RPG. It was just, for anyone that hasn't played it, what are you doing with your life? Play Baldur's Gate 3. It's so fucking good. I like that Final Fantasy 16 made the list. I don't think it's a strong contender. I don't think it can win. The game, I had a lot of criticisms going through it, and certainly one of the largest criticisms I have of the game is the extreme lack of customization. Maybe even the least amount of customization in a Final Fantasy game, like ever. Maybe that's not fair to say. I don't know. Liza P, haven't played it. Really excited to play it. I don't know if I would even have picked it in this category. RPG? Maybe. Do you guys consider like Bloodborne an RPG?
That's the tough thing for me. I feel like RPGs are very much a catch-all. Like where else do you drop a Souls-like? Unless they just made a Souls-like category, which they could do at this point with the amount of those type of games.
Yeah, I agree. It almost feels like it belongs in a different category other than RPG. I don't really think it's a contender here, although I assume it's a really good game.
I feel like I would actually feel like that descriptor best falls into the next category we're going to go over. But or maybe not the next one, but one of the upcoming ones, yeah. But yeah, I guess Baldur's Gate for me.
Sea of Stars. I haven't played it myself. I've heard nothing but great things. I've seen a little bit of footage of it. Looks good. Looks like a very like classic style, old school RPG. I'm sure it's great. And then Starfield. I don't know. I'm glad Starfield's nominated for some stuff because I recognize the vastness of it. I don't think it's like terribly great. But I think it's really good in a very like unique way of like being moddable, which like most Bethesda games basically come out with this like incredible moddable base, and then modders go and make something like insanely good. I think Starfield's gonna have a ton of replayability and lifespan because of the modding community for it. But I have played Starfield, and I don't think it's a strong contender here.
All right. What's next? Is it
Best action adventure?
all right? So on the list here, we have Alan Wake 2, Marvel's Spider-Man 2, Resident Evil 4, Star Wars Jedi Survivor, and Tears of the Kingdom. And it's the best action adventure game combining combat with traversal and puzzle solving. God, I can't wait to play Alan Wake 2.
Really?
I have looked up so little about it because I'm so excited, and all the reviews are so glowing.
Did you play the first one?
Yeah, and I've heard that Remedy, the company that makes it, they also made a game called Control, and they're actually like looping those universes together in kind of a way to just improving, and they taking out the things people didn't like. I heard small criticism, I guess, but just the story is so interesting. And I mean, Red, I don't know if you know anything about it, but
I've played the first Alan Wake a long time ago. I beat it. I haven't seen a ton on the new Alan Wake 2. I've heard mixed things.
yeah, I don't know. I'm stoked. It's Twin Peaks. It's Stephen King. It's all of that wrapped into a video game, and I hear it does it awesomely. So whether or not it's best action/adventure game, I think that's probably the thing that I would say takes it off this list, because from what I've been told, it's very much like a walking, talking kind of like a little bit of puzzling stuff, but for the most part, it's that, you know, it's kind of like watching the story unfold and being kind of amazed by the stuff they were able to do. Let's see. Spider-Man 2, I haven't played it yet. I got it for my birthday. I'm going to. I'm excited. If it's
I've
anything
heard
like
great
the first,
things.
yeah, if it's anything like the first, I mean, I'm fucking stoked. Resident Evil 4,
Tuggy's playing it.
yeah.
And he says it's better than the first. Yeah.
God, I'm excited. Resident Evil 4, I've heard is really good. I don't know if they built it from the ground up. But I don't think it's just a reboot. Like I think it's fully redone the way they redid Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3, right?
I don't know. I don't follow it that closely.
But everyone loved it, and I mean, I love Resident Evil 4 is one of my favorite. Like the original is one of my favorite games of all time. So I imagine it's good. But I can't weigh in on that. Didn't play Jedi Survivor. Really liked the first one though, but this one, when it first came out, you remember how everyone was? It was full of bugs. Everyone was saying it was like causing like hard crashes, not just like inconveniences. So I strayed away because if that's the kind of game that you see pop on sale, you know, a year and a half later, which is exactly how I played the last Star Wars Jedi game. So excited to play that eventually, but I don't know. The only memorable stuff I remember from people talking about it is saying that the bugs were insufferable. So, and then Tears of the Kingdom, which is an amazing game.
You want it?
Yep. Yeah, I'll hop in next. Yeah, so Tears of the Kingdom is a clear winner for me in this category, which I would actually say Spider-Man's probably number 2. I don't know how much puzzling happens in Spider-Man, but if there is a decent amount of good puzzles in there, I would say Spider-Man's probably a good contender. I looked up Alan Wake, and it is like the furthest thing from anything that would ever interest me, but I've heard really good, there's a lot of buzz around the game right now. To me, it looked like a cinematic adventure with some slight puzzling here and there. Which I can respect that. Don't know anything about Resident Evil, don't know anything about Star Wars, Jedi Survivor, but just kind of some of the things that Warren also heard. So I think Tears of the Kingdom's a clear winner in this one for me.
It is really fucking good.
I'll probably. Sorry, go ahead.
I'd say Tears would be my vote.
I'd probably third Tears of the Kingdom as my vote, and also what I think is gonna win. I think both of those things. Alan Wake 2, sounds like it's a very cinematic, artistic experience. I'm sure it's very, very lovely. Don't know if it would be best action adventure. I've heard very, very mediocre things about Spider-Man 2. I've watched a pretty decent amount of it too. I can't see that winning. I watched a decent amount of Resident Evil 4. It looks really good. I've never played it. I didn't play the original either. I don't know how I feel about a remake being on the contending list, but if they really rebuilt it from the ground up, maybe it's fair. And Star Wars Jedi Survivor, I didn't play the first one or the second one, but I've heard good things about both. I've heard that it's almost a little like Souls-like, which in my opinion, that formula is like pure gold. So maybe if I'd played or watched Star Wars Jedi Survivor, maybe it would be a stronger contender in my mind. I just don't know enough about it, so I'm kind of just not even considering it.
There's a streamer I know that might have some recordings on Twitch that played the first Star Wars Jedi game. It's good. It is a Souls-like. It's a Souls-like RPG. The map is like Metroid, where it's like a 3D map. You can kind of turn the space and see on it what doors you've opened, and as you get new powers, you can go back to maps to open doors you couldn't get in before. Really cool, fun traversal, and the combat is super Souls-like on the hardest difficulty, at least. First one whipped ass. I am excited for the second one. Still have to say Tears, and you need to stop looking in the mirror when you're looking for mediocre reviews of Spider-Man.
It's just not that good.
He gets in the mirror and he goes, "It sucks," and you're like, "Yeah, that's right, dude." Thanks, Josh.
Why does Spider-Man suck?
The biggest criticism I've heard is that it's really short and it's pretty non-challenging.
Hmm.
That's from what I heard. The biggest thing it has going for it is like if you just like standing in a big open skyline. And well, I've also one of the criticisms I saw. This was actually a streamer that we all know. Um, I guess one of the big things about the Spider-Man franchise was like you could like swing around the cities, and for some reason they like basically added flying, so you can just like trivialize all the travel. Um, so it just honestly all the things I've been seeing is mostly just criticisms, bugs, shortness, things of the like.
I know this is a whole different video, but adding flying to games. Once you introduce that type of hypermobility, you just destroy your world. The immersion's just like gone.
We don't need to dive into it, but I know things about it. I won't, because there's going to be an entire pocket of an upcoming episode when I talk about it, for sure. That being said,
Sweet.
I still think Tears would take it, because it's Breath of the Wild, but, you know, ostensibly better in every single way, and to take what people consider a perfect game and make it more perfect is kind of crazy. Anyway, next on the list is Best Action Game.
Which is interesting because we just went from best action / adventure to best action, so I'm kind of curious to see.
So these ones,
I've seen these before, but I forgot.
You know, there's no adventure in any of these games. So we have Armored Core 6, Fires of Rubicon. That's, you know, the next installment, or the next game from FromSoft. They revisited their old title. Dead Island 2. Let's see. Ghost Runner 2. I don't know anything about it, but that looks kind of sick. Hi-Fi Rush and Remnant 2.
See, I would expect Lies of Pi to be on here.
Lies of Pi. Yep, that's what it's named.
What is it called?
Nope, you
Lies
got
of
it.
P.
You nailed it.
Yeah, that.
It's still a stupid
of
name.
P.
Lies of P is still stupid, to be clear. They're like,
That should be on here, in my opinion.
I agree.
I think that would make more sense. Like, I don't know what Hi-Fi Rush is, but just by looking at
it
this
looks
picture,
so
get
fucking,
it out of here.
dude. It looks so fucking cool. Don't even.
Get it out of here. Put Lies of P in here.
It looks so fucking cool.
Complete opposite taste.
Okay, so Armored Core. I haven't seen any critique on it from the people I said. You know, everyone that went in, the only critique that anybody ever had was like, oh, I was hoping it would be more of a Souls because it came from the company that does all the Souls games. But
Do
they
you know what it is, though? Armored Core 6?
I don't. No.
customize
It's like-
mechs and go through missions, beating up bosses and hordes of enemies with drastically different types of mechs depending on how you want to play. Anything from a melee swordsman to a long-range gunner.
Oh, I think I
yes,
watched Doc
like-
play a little bit of this.
Super
Yeah,
fast.
it was kind of a flash fire there for a while. Very like build your own gigantic custom Gundam, and then do really hard boss fights.
Yeah, it does look sick. Dead Island 2. I played the first one. I didn't like it. Maybe the second one's good, but I'm honestly the 2010s zombie everything kind of burned me out on zombies for the foreseeable future. Wish I knew more about Ghost Runner 2. Remnant 2 is a game that, I mean, we all love Remnant, and I've heard that number 2 is better in every way. So I'm stoked to play that with you guys. And then Hi-Fi Rush, small, you know, breakdown. It's a, you know, action fighting game where you're fighting through levels, but the entire thing is to like a soundtrack, due to whatever story reasons. Like if you fight along to the soundtrack, your like bonuses get higher and you might do more damage or something like that. So it's like a very rhythmic, like fighting game. Not fighting game, but like action game.
Is it like Ninja Turtles? I'm getting Ninja Turtle vibes.
No, it's like a 3D space kind of fighting game. I mean,
Okay.
the combat, I don't really know what I would equate it to. Just hack and slash, kind of like older God of War, kind of like, but you know. Yeah, I don't know. Action game. Everyone loves Armored Core, I guess. Armored Core, but I want to play Remnant, so Remnant.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
for me, I don't know a ton about any of these. I watched quite a bit of Dead Island 1, and it looked interesting. Um, Ghost Runner's picture here looks friggin' sick. I don't know.
Doesn't it
I don't
though?
know.
That's what I'm
I don't know anything.
saying.
If the game is anything like that picture, I'm sure it's amazing. But yeah, I gotta go. Most familiar with Remnant. I know how amazing that game is. I'm going Remnant too.
I think Armored Core 6 is probably going to win. My personal vote would be Remnant 2, solely based off of my experience with Remnant 1. I actually did play Dead Island 2. It was kind of an impulse buy. I was just sitting down, hanging out on the PlayStation one day, and I played it for a few days, and it was a lot of fun. It was, you customize weapons, do all kinds of like fun and wacky stuff. It was pretty challenging too. Um, way, way, way better than I would have thought. Uh, so I see why it's up here, and I agree with it being a nomination. But yeah, ultimately, I think Armored Core 6 is going to win, but I'm rooting for Remnant 2. I'd love to see that game get more get more spotlight.
I got bad news. Ghost Runner 2 takes it. Just watched the launch trailer and it looks fucking cool. It's a first person, fast paced, like what was the first person game where you just do parkour? You know what I'm talking about? From like PlayStation 3 era.
Mirror's Edge.
Yeah.
This looks like Mirror's Edge, but you have a sword and like a laser hand and you're just that. Anyway.
Oh, it does look very cool. Yeah.
Anyway, next category. Best VR/AR.
God, I can't wait till VR like really evolves and we start inputting our brains into worlds. And
I'm looking at all these lists, and none of them are Gorilla Tag, which is what my son would say. So I'm going to go ahead and vote off to the right and just say Gorilla Tag because it's some free game where you use your hands to run around as a gorilla and play tag with other kids. Obviously takes it. No, I can't really weigh in on this. I bought the VR and I can barely do it because it gives me motion sickness. So, nah.
yeah, I don't know anything about any of these.
Yeah, not a VR gamer myself. I've messed with VR a little bit. I will say though, I have watched people play Resident Evil Village in VR, and I think horror games in VR were made for each other. So it's an absolutely terrifying experience to like be in the horror game.
Yeah.
Think about if you've ever played a scary game and like it has you on edge and you're like opening doors and you're like nervous. It's so much worse when it's virtual reality. So I'd probably just default to that, but I am not familiar with VR versions of the other games.
Same. Next. Best mobile game. I've only played one of these. I've heard extremely good things about Honkai Star Rail. Don't really know what it is, to be honest, but I think it's some kind of version of a gacha game. But the only one I've played is Terra Nil, and it's really good. And if you have a Netflix account, you can play it.
Easy, Sparky. Let's run down the list.
Okay. Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis. What is that?
No, I know. I played it.
Oh.
It's a brand new gacha game released like a month ago, roughly. It's solely based in Final Fantasy VII Remake universe. It's okay. It's okay. If you're a really huge Final Fantasy VII fan, I would argue this is probably the best gacha game for you. But outside of being strictly just diehard Final Fantasy VII, I think it's too limited in the gacha scope. I'm actually a huge mobile gamer, so I don't know how my life came to be this way, but I am. So I'm familiar with almost all these here.
Hello Kitty Island Adventure I thought was a joke from South Park in 2005, but there it is. I'm sure it's got a massive following since Hello Kitty's like the third largest IP on the planet.
I don't know. I'm not familiar with this one. I would guess it's probably something like the Animal Crossing mobile game that came out a while back.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Honkai Star Rail.
I could rave about Honkai Star Rail. It is made by HoYoverse, who are the same makers of Genshin Impact, and you can tell if you were to ever boot up the game and you played Genshin Impact. Very, very different in play style. It's a turn-based gacha game, so you can basically imagine Genshin Impact, but a turn-based. That's exactly what it's like. It's In my opinion, fantastic game. Also, my vote and what I think is going to win. Um, Spoilers. But that's
Okay.
Honkai Star Rail.
Monster Hunter Now.
Monster Hunter Now is Monster Hunter's answer to Pokemon Go. So I think it's Niantic also. So it uses the same like mapping system that Pokemon Go does. And the way they run it is like in Pokemon Go, Pokemon spawn in the overworld, you click them, you go into a catch mini game. In Monster Hunter Now, monsters spawn in the overworld, you click them, and then you go into like a kind of a fight uh, type of thing where you can move left, right, dodge, and then tap to attack. Um, sorry, I tried to mute. um, Honestly, I think it's really well put together, but I don't think it plays that well. So meaning like the UI and the menus and the gear and all that type of system, I think it's all like very good. But the actual like battle experience, I think is a little whack. It's very much just like, okay, dodge left, dodge right, and then mash to attack. Um, I think it falls a little flat, unfortunately.
And then we have Terra Nil. Red, I don't know if you've played it. I played it for like a full day. I really enjoyed
I haven't.
the day of play that I gave it.
Yeah, take it away. I haven't. I don't even know anything about it.
So I heard about it. I heard that it was there. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Netflix games, but like Netflix does this thing where they essentially license a bunch of games that people make, and then if you have a Netflix account, when you go to play the game, you can play it for free as long as it prompts you and you sign in with your Netflix. So if your Netflix is already on your phone, you can just play a bunch of these games that would otherwise have a premium charge. And Terra Nil is one of them. It's a top-down, like or like that isometric view style, like sim kind of like city builder game. Except the twist is that you start off on like a barren wasteland. You drop down like some machinery, and then you have all these different types of machines that you can use to create rivers or spawn different types of biomes, and you're trying to get the map as green and like lush as possible, and then tactically use other robots that you have in your toolkit to extract all of those pieces until you can eventually take your ship off and leave no trace of yourself. So you're trying to like rebuild a planet. So it's like an anti-city builder. And it becomes like this puzzle game where you have to try to like build it up in the right way to where you can like unbuild your specific things and get out and like have a perfect score based on like certain criteria. It's really fun, and since it's the only one I played, I give it my vote. That's where I'm at.
Sounds very unique.
Yeah, super cool game.
I unfortunately do not know anything about any of these besides Honkai Star Rail, and I've only seen that through Red playing a handful of times, so it's probably going to be my vote in both categories.
Sweet. All right. Best debut indie. It's the best debut game created by a new independent studio.
Okay.
We have Cocoon, Dredge, Pizza Tower, Venba, and Viewfinder.
I'm gonna go ahead and say I've never heard of any of these.
Really?
I have no opinion. Nope, not one of them.
Zell?
Viewfinder looks familiar for some reason. Nope. Yeah, don't know. Don't know any of them at all.
Pizza Tower is just like a very 90s ass take on a I think it's Wario World. It was like the side scroller Wario game from like Game Boy. Don't know anything about Venba, never heard of it. Viewfinder is a first person puzzle game where you can pick up pictures and or take pictures and then like move the perspective to like create paths to get through levels, which seems kind of cool. Dredge seems really dope and I really want to play it. It's like a fishing game with like a underlying horror what do you call the Lovecraftian horror kind of element to it. And then Cocoon is like a isometric like running around like puzzle solving game. So I don't know. Everyone loves Dredge. I imagine Dredge takes it. But
That's your opinion, Dredge?
that's just from what I have been, what I've heard from different reviews and stuff. But I can't weigh in on any of it. Dredge looks the most fun to me personally.
I will say it's a game that's not on here. I don't know if it was created in 2023 or if it just blew up in 2023. But for a while there, every streamer and their mom was playing a game called Only Up. And I thought that was really well crafted and such a cool concept. And it's like such a simple game, but it just massively took off in popularity. Speedrunners took off with it. I don't know if it was 2023 or not. If it was, I think it deserves to be on here. If it wasn't, then, well, I guess that's why it's not on here.
Yeah, good call. I saw that one a lot too, and it's crazy how fun you can make something so simple.
I imagine the reason it's not is just based on the criteria of that little thing under the title, because it looks like the company that made Only Up makes a fucking dickload of things.
Oh, gotcha.
Not indie enough.
Not indie enough.
All right. Well, best indie game.
Ah. From everything I've been told, it's going to be Dave the Diver or Sea of Stars.
Sea of Stars is indie. Okay.
I also didn't know that. I imagined it would have been like the offshoot of a Square or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
Sabotage Studio. Never heard of it.
Now that you mentioned it, I have watched a little bit of Viewfinder, and man, that is like such an innovative idea. It's not my style of game, but I love the whole like take a picture and create your path forward type of thing. That was really cool.
That is really cool.
I just have to go with Sea of Stars here out of principle, but I'm just simply not familiar with any of the other ones.
Samesies.
Yeah, I everything I heard about Dave the Diver sounds really cool. I'm gonna play it. It's like 3 or 4 games in one. It's like a fishing game, but then also like a restaurant sim. But like it's got like interesting like gameplay elements that make like every little piece of it very fun. Everyone loves it. That's all I know. So yeah, I imagine that Sea of Stars or Dave the Diver takes it.
Best community support.
Recognizing a game for outstanding community support, transparency, and responsiveness, inclusive of social media activity and game updates and patches. So basically, like, yeah, just a game that. So
this is recognizing the game for supporting the community, is how I'm reading that.
Yeah, being transparent and responsive, and just seeming to give a shit about their people that play it.
Oh gosh.
The contenders are Baldur's Gate 3, Cyberpunk 2077, Destiny 2, Final Fantasy 14, and No Man's Sky.
I got my answer, but if you guys want to start.
Got thoughts, Ellie?
Yeah, I guess I don't know how you would really put this onto a scale, because my immediate thoughts are, well, Cyberpunk was a bust on release, so is that good community support? I'm not really sure. No Man's Sky was also a bust on release. I think being true.
I think that's why they're on here, is because they responded to the community and updated and patched the games. I think that's why they're on here.
Yeah, see, to me, that's not good community support. That's you released a bad game and you didn't want your company to go under, so you like tried to cover your ass and fix it later. I recognize those games are a lot better now, but I don't know. That doesn't fall into like good community support to me. Final Fantasy 14, from everything I've ever experienced, has the best community imaginable. I don't know if that has anything to do with actual, Square Enix's community support. I would imagine that they had some hand in that. Destiny 2, I only hear negative things since the game came out, so I'm gonna probably have to go with Baldur's Gate again.
Baldur's Gate is too new. Yeah, they're patching it, they're updating it, they're fixing things, but that's kind of par for the course for any AAA title, I think, nowadays. Like, any game you hear about that is broken, it seems to get, fixed if it's from a large developer, and so that's... I don't know if I'd put that on this one. Destiny 2, I can't weigh in. Final Fantasy 14, it's an MMO. that's their job, is to be doing that. I mean, you could have put WoW on here for, you know, announcing 3 new expansions for a game that a lot of people were like, maybe it dies this time. So I don't know, but I would say it would have been between No Man's Sky and Cyberpunk for me, but No Man's Sky has righted their ship a long time ago. Like, I feel like they've been a few years deep now in being like which I you know, doesn't go against them, but like maybe they would have been the ones to win this like a year or two ago for me. Cyberpunk, I mean, I'm pretty sure they lost money on the amount they put into making this expansion, and then at the same time fixing, you know, near everything. There's still issues, you know, with any game like this, but from everything I've heard, they really righted that ship in a way that showed that they gave a shit more about you know, their relationship with the consumer that, you know, tried to originally buy their game or had that trust in them to try to fix it. So, you know, I'd say Cyberpunk, just for trying to support companies doing that if they do fuck up.
Cyberpunk's your opinion, or what you think's gonna win, or both?
That's my vote, and I think because it was so recent that they did that and there was such a positive response, I imagine it could take it.
And Zoe, you said Baldur's Gate? Is that what you said?
Yeah, either Baldur's Gate or Final Fantasy 14 for me.
Okay. I applaud Cyberpunk and No Man's Sky for what they did. I definitely I view it a little bit different than Zell. I don't know if it was as much as they released a bad game and then they did everything they could to save the company. I think it was more of you know, like Warren described. I think they probably in the long run lost money to regain trust and correct mistakes. I generally wouldn't view a company as altruistic like that, but I think these smaller game developers, I think they kind of have to be. But I applaud just how far those games came, especially from how abysmal and negative they were reviewed, and now I think both games are like viewed very positively, and I know that took a lot of work. I don't know why Destiny 2's on here. Get this game out of my face. Baldur's Gate 3. I don't think the only things they were doing was just like patching bugs. I think they were like adding content to the game that players wanted, like within a month of release, like different romance lines that didn't exist. You know, various like, I think there was like quest lines that players were like, oh, you know, we really want this character kind of have like a more of an ending quest line, and then it was like very rapidly they went around and turned that around. So I think that's why they're on this list. I think Baldur's Gate 3 will probably win. And quite frankly, I think it's such a close tie, like personally for me, between Baldur's Gate 3, Cyberpunk, and No Man's Sky. I don't know if I could pick one.
Yeah, just to touch on what you said there, Red, I don't think it's all about money, about them saving the company, but more about saving their reputation.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about like, well, you said stop them from going under, is what you said.
Yeah, I meant as the company be, you know, failing as a whole, which I think probably has just as much to do with reputation as it does the amount of money they're making.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, so congratulations to Destiny 2.
Yeah.
Next category. Best ongoing.
Best ongoing.
Feels
Wow.
a little redundant. Word for a game for outstanding development of ongoing content that evolves the player experience. Not Cyberpunk. I think that the last category kind of better described what they did.
I would interpret this as like a live service game.
Yeah, that's. I mean, yeah, like Cyberpunk
Like, I don't know why
righted
Cyberpunk
the
would
ship,
be
but
on
they're
here.
not they're not putting out new missions every week.
Yeah.
Honestly, people praise 14's like ongoing story and everything too much for me to not say that. That game is beloved by everybody for a reason. So I'm gonna say that.
I would have to say probably Fortnite, man. I'm not a huge big Fortnite boy, but dang, that company has just like revolutionized gaming as a whole. Like their ability to put skins in there that people are just like, super hard IPs to get a hold of, and like how much they've just like changed the map and like, you know, even delivered a no build system because people didn't want to do that anymore. I would say my vote would probably be Fortnite, but I think well, Fortnite or Final Fantasy 14, and I think Fortnite's gonna win.
I think Fortnite's probably going to win also, and for good reason. I think it's an incredible live service game. They do nothing but pour more and more content and attention to that game constantly. I think Genshin Impact and Final Fantasy 14 are worth mentioning. Probably Final Fantasy 14 more so. But yeah, ultimately, I would assume Fortnite's probably going to win.
Not to mention just like the live concerts they did, like what a crazy idea to pull off in like a shooter battle royale.
Yeah,
I
and
agree. Yeah.
I think they made like game creator modes in Fortnite. So just like Warcraft 3, you used to be able to like create games. I think you can do that in Fortnite now too.
Yeah, that was actually like a recent kind of misstep from what I've been told. They were actually like losing money on it because they expected it to be their Roblox kind of thing. Um,
I wouldn't be surprised if that has a delayed impact. Like someone figures something out with it, but I don't know.
I'm not sure. Yeah,
um, I'm personally down to skip games for impact, but if you guys want to go into it, we can.
games for impact, thought-provoking
I don't know
game with
what does that mean?
just games with a strong message. I played Terra Nil, so I vote for that one. I've never heard of any of the others.
With a
Yeah,
pro-social message or meaning.
Why
I
does
got
why does
nothing
that
here.
really positive title give you such an ick? That's like such a nice thing, and you're like,
I just don't think that's what I don't think that's what video games are about. It's certainly not why I play video games. So this just has nothing to do with me.
which one of these categories is highest crits, best gear score?
Biggest numbers.
Okay, innovation and accessibility. I I haven't played any of these, so I cannot. I don't know. I know.
So just reading the definition of this one, recognizing software and or hardware that is pushing the medium forward by adding features, technology, and content to help games be played and enjoyed by an even wider audience. And then the contenders are Diablo 4, Forza Motorsport, Hi-Fi Rush, Marvel's Spider-Man 2, Mortal Kombat 1, and Street Fighter 6.
I know Street Fighter 6 has a lot of really cool features to, like, lower the barrier of entry into a combo based fighting game for other people to enjoy that doesn't impact the competitive nature of it. So that seems cool. I know Spider-Man 2 has a lot of like accessibility features. I think that those things are important for a lot of disabled gamers and stuff like that, I guess. But I don't. I haven't dove into those features because I haven't played any of these games, so I cannot weigh in at all. Aside from the weigh in I just did, obviously.
I'm already frustrated with my own answer, but I actually think I'm going to say Diablo 4
Yeah, it's
would
got
be
good
my
stuff.
pick here. Well, they just did a really good job of making it playable on, multiple consoles, which I think was good. Like for me, at least, it plays well on PC, it plays well on PlayStation, it plays well on Steam Deck. Um, I've had really good times there. There's been a couple little things where like I've had a really hard time seeing my character, and there's all these cool settings in there where you can like highlight your character in any color you want so you can see them better, and you can like turn numbers on and off, and I don't know. There's just a lot of customization options in there that just make the game a little bit easier to look at and just play around with. Um, I don't know if this goes into like complexity of being able to like actually get to end game type stuff because Diablo does that very poorly. But as far as just like basic controls and like visualizations, I think Diablo 4 did a pretty good job.
I've heard a lot of similar sentiments about uh, things that I don't necessarily use, but Diablo 4 is like implemented that is like just made it extremely accessible. So I'd probably vote the same.
Cool, cool. Let's see. Next up is best performance, right?
Best performance.
Let's see. Going down the list.
Oh man.
Yeah, this is a good one.
Dude,
You want to go down the list?
Yeah, so we got Ben Starr, which is the main character in Final Fantasy 16. Fuck me. Cameron Monaghan, which is the lead character of Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Idris Elba from Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty. Melanie Liburd from Alan Wake 2. Neil Newborn from Baldur's Gate 3. And Yuri Lowenthal from Marvel's Spider-Man 2. If anything...
So quick call out. Right, so you already said it, but the Ben Starr is Clive from Final Fantasy 16.
Correct.
I don't know who Idris Elba plays in Cyberpunk. I haven't played 2077 yet. For Neil Newborn, Baldur's Gate 3, that's Astarion. That's worth mentioning.
Okay.
And I
How
don't
do you
know.
pick with all those amazing actors in that game?
Yeah, I wish they put the character here.
Astarion, yeah, is a great pick if you had to pick one. Yeah, so it's funny because from all the different talk I've heard from Spider-Man, there's other characters that were acted better, from what I've been told. Like Peter Parker, wasn't the shining star of it. Which is who Yuri Lowenthal plays. Astarion's amazing. I've heard Melanie Liburd character, Saga, I think, is really good. I mean, Idris Elba is obviously going to be phenomenal. Personally, I think Ben Starr has to be it. For me, I haven't played a shit ton of the game, but goddamn, his voice acting in it is so good.
What do you think, Zelly?
I don't know a lot about any of these, unfortunately, but I would go with my boy Idris Elba.
Yeah, I don't know who he acted or what it was. I'm sure it was a good job. For me, it's a tie between Ben Starr as Clive and Neil Newborn as Astarion. Clive was just really well acted. The narrative in Final Fantasy 16 was the best part of Final Fantasy 16. I think I would probably ultimately lean towards Neil Newborn, and it's also who I think will probably win, because Astarion is such an iconic character from Baldur's Gate 3, and the reason Astarion's so iconic is because the voice actor played the shit out of that part. I mean, he made Astarion the sassy vampire assassin that Astarion is. So I just did a phenomenal job.
Really quick, do I have sound coming through when I'm muted? Because I'm seeing my name blink like I'm talking, and it's infuriating me when I'm muted.
Mine's doing that also. Yeah, you don't have something to do.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, just hell, from the demo alone, Ben Starr, like in that final moment of the demo portion of the game, was just like, oh, that's it, that's it for me. Yeah.
Best audio design, something I'm coming to appreciate more and more in games. Contenders are Alan Wake 2, Dead Space, Hi-Fi Rush, Marvel's Spider-Man 2, and Resident Evil 4.
Can't wait. Literally cannot weigh in. Haven't played any of them. I don't think any of us have played any of them, so can't attest to the audio design inside of the game.
Yeah, I got nothing.
Same, nothing. I will say though, for as far as nominations go, I'm a little upset that the New World expansion didn't make it as a nomination, because the audio design of New World, especially in that expansion, is phenomenal.
I agree.
So I was a little surprised that didn't make it in.
Honestly, Tears of the Kingdom too.
Is it?
The way they play with, I mean, if you're familiar with Breath and all the piano notes that they use through that game, Tears does the same thing, but introducing horns, and it's specifically like when you get up into Sky Islands, they switched to more horn stuff. I don't know. It's really a cool way to paint the different areas. So it is strange to me that it's not on the list, but I guess these ones must whip ass then.
Maybe.
Anyway.
Maybe they do.
Best score and music. So we have Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3. I'm not going to embarrass myself saying all these names. You guys can say the names of the composers if you want to try. Final Fantasy 16, Hi-Fi Rush, and Tears of the Kingdom. So I guess this is, I'm putting my foot in my mouth. 'Cause all the shit I just said, just put that on here. Yeah.
Is that your vote?
God, it's so hard not to. It was really amazing. Like every town, they really the sound and the music and the score in Breath and then Tears is like another character in the game. Like that's how impactful it feels. So I have to put that for myself.
Yeah, I don't know how good the Final Fantasy 16 soundtrack is. Final Fantasy almost never misses with that area, so there's probably a good chance that could take it. But yeah, I think Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom, that's got to be my pick.
I'm actually not 100% sure why Baldur's Gate 3 is up here. I love the game, but I feel like I don't recall any like specific scene with music or anything where I was like, oh yeah, wow, this is the vibe. Final Fantasy 16 had some great music, especially the battle music. I didn't play Tears of the Kingdom, but if it was anything like Breath of the Wild's music, I'd probably vote Zelda also.
I cannot believe you haven't played Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah, I've been holding out. I'm gonna do it. I really want to. It's mostly just been not being around my Switch. I don't want to play it handheld. I feel like playing it handheld would kind of rob some of the experience of like it being on the big screen. Maybe I'm wrong.
It feels good on both. I usually play Switch everything handheld. I will say like I play most of Tears handheld, but yeah, the second you plug it in, you get on the TV, you can really appreciate a lot of it. It's so good. And it's also worth noting. I'm pretty sure Hi-Fi Rush is like all licensed music. Like they licensed it. Like there's like 9 Inch Nails and stuff like that, which is interesting.
Oh, gotcha.
So,
yeah.
But that being said, I think an original score overpowers that stuff any day. I remember Final Fantasy's being pretty good from what I remember, but yeah, Tears just is too big a part of it for me.
All right. Best art direction.
Best art direction. We got Alan Wake 2, Hi-Fi Rush, Lies of P, Super Mario Brothers Wonder, and Tears of the Kingdom. Somebody else want to go first?
I got some hot takes.
Do your takes, dude.
Let's hear it, dude.
I haven't looked too much into Alan Wake 2. The first game, it was a very artistic experience. I loved it. It sounds like the second one is even more of the first thing. That was probably gonna win if I had to guess. I'm just looking at the picture of Hi-Fi Rush here, and if the game looks like this, get it off my list. Lies of P. I don't know if it like looked amazing. I mean, I think the game looks amazing, but like it just visually, it looks okay. It doesn't look bad by any means, but I don't know if it's like, up here competing to win awards, like looked amazing. Why in the world is Super Mario Brothers Wonder on here? What do you mean? Get it off my list.
It's really pretty, man.
You've obviously not looked at it. It's
really pretty.
Are you telling me it looks any different than any of the other
no, yeah,
2D but 3D Mario games?
Yes, and
I mean, it's
I'll
definitely
get into it.
yeah, it's much more polished, but
I'm sure it doesn't. I'm sure it doesn't look bad. All right, I'll concede that. I'm sure it doesn't look bad. But best art direction, get off my list. Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah.
I don't know. Look good, right? Did it look much better than Breath of the Wild? You guys would know better than I would.
It looked the same as Breath of the Wild.
Very similar.
It's they I don't think they really updated any.
Yeah, it
Maybe they
felt a little
updated
strange to be on the
fidelity,
list
but
too.
it's the same thing.
Yeah, I feel like 4 out of 5 of these could be replaced with games that are way more artistically beautiful or unique or something. Um, so there's my list of hot takes. I think Alan Wake's probably gonna win.
Okay, Zell.
Yeah, so I can't speak to Al. Well, I mean, I watched a 45-second video earlier, and Alan Wake is very realistic, but that's really not my type of art direction. I don't really like hyper realistic games. Um, I would have to say for me, it would be either Super Mario or Tears of the Kingdom. That art style is way more appeasing to me. I recognize Red's like reluctance to recognize Super Mario, but it is unique in its own right, and you know, for that style, they really do it best in class, in my opinion. But yeah, I'd probably just have to go for Tears of the Kingdom out of my love for it.
Okay. Going down the list. Alan Wake 2, I know that. I mean, as far as art direction goes, I know that they've done a lot of really cool stuff in there. Like they're fully integrated, like cross genre, like FMV, like you know, like actual actors in scenes and like a bunch of crazy shit like that, and gotten really weird with it. So yeah, I can imagine that taking it. I haven't looked at anything because I don't want spoilers because I really want to play it. Hi-Fi Rush. If that picture looks like just like a animated like drawing, like that's the style. Like, you know, it's one of those ones where if you took any screenshot of the game, like it could be a 2D drawing kind of thing, and that's what they're going for. I'm sure playing it's a really cool experience, but you know, it's neat, but whatever. Lies of P. I watched a lot of Lives of P, and I think as far as when they're saying art direction, I would guess it's because the designs of the monsters and stuff, it's all these like, you know, it's this twisted version of Pinocchio, so it's like these like clockwork, you know, automatons and stuff. It is pretty cool, but I don't know. Tears of the Kingdom is more of what you got out of Breath, which is great, but yeah, I would say it's Mario for me. Everything I've seen about it, it's such a departure from the safe like 3D Mario that they've been doing since like what, the Wii or before that. They got really weird with it. They designed a lot of stuff. The team is like a bunch of, you know, younger dudes at Nintendo that wanted to like, got the chance to do something weird, and they obviously did it. And it's really strange, and like just every little bit about it is stuff that you're almost like, how did Nintendo actually approve them doing a lot of this stuff? I think it's really, really cool.
I'm gonna go look it up after this, after everything's said and done, and I'll be willing to eat my words if I'm wrong. But if I swear, guys, if I go and look this up after we're done here, and it looks exactly like every other Mario game, I'm gonna drive to both of your houses and slap you both.
It's gonna look exactly like you're envisioning in your mind, but if you really look at it, like the artwork
No,
is
seriously,
beautiful.
the art direction is so fucking cool. I'm watching scenes out of it right now. It's so weird. It's so cool.
All right, best narrative.
This has got to be FF16, right?
Well, the contenders are Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Cyberpunk 2077, Phantom Liberty, Final Fantasy 16, and Marvel's Spider-Man 2.
Outstanding storytelling and narrative development. You can't not vote Baldur's Gate for that, right? Like, in a game where, you know, 20 people could play it and like have vastly different experiences, and all of them are still like amazingly written and, you know, voice acted by really good voice actors. Like, how do you not pick that? Saying it as a asshole who hasn't played in, you know, really any of the other ones, but still, that's my take.
Yeah, for me, got to be FF16 or Baldur's Gate. FF16 is more my style, coming to like stories and narrative and things of that vein. So I think I'll probably say FF16, but I recognize that Baldur's Gate 3 is probably going to win.
I feel like this is the toughest category I've seen yet. I can't speak to Alan Wake 2 or Cyberpunk, so I have to just take those with a grain of salt. You know, I'm
Speak
sure
to
that Alan Wake.
Spider-Man. You can speak to Spider-Man?
I can't speak to Spider-Man, and I'm going to. Don't you worry, I'm getting to that one. So, Alan Wake 2. I just haven't watched any of it yet, but from what I hear, it's a great story, very cinematic experience, right? We've all kind of said that already. Baldur's Gate 3, of course, I've played. I don't even know how many hours of. It is a great story. I don't think the story is the shining gem of Baldur's Gate 3, as much as the gameplay experience is, in my opinion. I think it's really good. I don't think I could see it winning this category just on the popularity of Baldur's Gate 3, but I don't think it's the best narrative. I think Final Fantasy 16 is the crown here. I did play and beat Final Fantasy 16 all the way through. Many criticisms of the game, but the one thing I won't criticize is the story. I think it was phenomenal. I would suggest anyone that didn't even want to play Final Fantasy 16 to just watch a YouTube video like summarizing the story with all the cinematics. Freaking great, incredible. Can't praise it highly enough. Marvel Spider-Man 2, get it off this list. Anyone that's played it or watched it has seen the atrocious acting and the story unfold for all 30 minutes of the story. This is clearly on here for units sold and not for actual narrative merit.
Great sales numbers on such a niche title, though. Okay. Was that all of us? I can't remember.
Yeah.
Okay. Best game direction?
Best game direction.
Award for outstanding creative vision and innovation in game direction and design.
I'm seeing a trend on games making these top 5 lists.
Yeah, a little bit. Creative vision. I mean, Alan Wake 2 seems to got pretty fucking weird with it, so I'll just say that, I guess.
Well, reading off the list, right? It's Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Marvel Spider-Man 2, Super Mario Bros. Wonder, and The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom.
Creative vision. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like all these lines start getting really blurry towards the end there. These categories.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to pull them apart. I'm actually gonna go with Zelda again. I think their whole like building and combining items into new tools and just like giving you the ability to like kind of build vehicles and stuff like that. I think that was very innovative. But I just don't know enough about the other ones to speak to them.
You know, I would actually agree with you. I actually changed my answer. Tears did the impossible in a lot of ways. It was so innovative in that it took a game that everyone was like, there's no way you make this better, and then made everyone go, there's no way that last game was considered good. Like, it somehow made everyone think back on Breath as if it was a bad game. It's like, what? Wait, hold on. Like, because it did so many cool new things. Like, it took every really fun piece of Breath of the Wild and like made it more fun. Yeah, that's kind of crazy how much they squeezed into a Switch game. I'll say Tears too.
I'm glad I swayed you.
I think I'd probably concede Tears also for creative vision and innovation. I'm sure Alan Wake is really strong in the creative vision section. I think Baldur's Gate 3 is also like justifiably here on the list as a high contender. I don't know if it's significantly different from Baldur's Gate 2. I didn't play Baldur's Gate 2. Warren, can you remind me, what was the game that came out that was like kind of similar to Baldur's Gate 3 a few years back?
Like Larian's last game?
I think it was Larian's last game.
Yeah, Divinity. Divinity 2.
Divinity, yeah. So, like, the reasons I would want to not vote for Baldur's Gate 3 is because, it's very much like something that already exists, like Divinity 2. But the reasons I would want to vote for it is because, even though that it's true, there's so many creative and innovative things you can do in the game, such as you can beat like any scenario in 15 different ways with 15 different, plot points that, actually change the game. And there's just so many different ways to interact with the game, and I think that was very creative and innovative. Um, I didn't play Super Mario Brothers Wonder. It's hard for me to imagine that it's significantly more innovative than previous installments, but who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. And get Marvel Spider-Man 2 off my list.
Okay.
Watch Spider-Man 2 take every single one of these categories.
We'll know it's rigged if it does. Game of the year. We finally made it.
All right.
We have no listeners left, but we did it. All right, recognizing a game that delivers the absolute best experience across all creative and technical fields. You got Alan Wake 2 by Remedy, Baldur's Gate 3 by Larian, Marvel's Spider-Man 2 by Insomniac, Resident Evil 4 by Capcom, Super Mario Bros. Wonder by Nintendo, and Tears of the Kingdom by Nintendo.
Let's from all of us, let's hear your personal opinion and what you think will win.
Personal and what I think is the same. It's Baldur's Gate. I don't think there's a fucking snowflake's chance in hell it doesn't win. And I think it should win. Because there's a reason everyone was like, "This. How does this exist? This game doesn't seem possible. This game is I mean, all that was obviously loud false shit saying that like developers were upset about it and stuff like that because it was that good. It's like when your game is so good that other developers are claiming to be mad, or people are claiming that is the case, your game's pretty fucking good. It deserves it.
For me, I think both personal and what is going to win is probably going to be Zelda. I recognize that Baldur's Gate 3 may actually objectively be a better game, but I feel like it's kind of niche. Like, you really have to be in that turn-based combat, and just based on the number of votes, I don't know if it's going to collect enough compared to, like, Super Mario Brothers or Zelda.
I agree with Warren here. I think Baldur's Gate 3 is a absolute landslide victory. I don't think any of these games, despite some of them having really high merit, I don't think they're going to come close. I just think Baldur's Gate 3 is that good. I think the last time I felt there was a game as good as Baldur's Gate 3 was when Elden Ring came out.
I was about to say.
And I
Same
would argue
thing.
Elden Ring's maybe one of the greatest games of all time, if not the greatest game of all time. I can't see any game standing a chance up against Baldur's Gate 3. What do you guys think should have made this nomination list as a honorable mention?
Let's see.
Like, if we took Baldur's Gate 3 out of the equation, because we know, well, I guess Dell doesn't agree that that's going to win, but what games do you think should have been in the running at least?
Sorry, I had to bring up a list of other games. Because as stacked as this year was, I didn't play enough.
Yeah,
It was a
Diablo
very
4
stacked
released
year.
this year.
Sorry?
Diablo 4 released this year?
I don't think so.
I didn't think
Did it
so either,
not?
but
Oh.
this on this list it says it did.
Oh yeah, okay, I guess it did.
So I'm a little surprised D4 is not on here. Do I think it should be on there? I don't know. But I'm surprised it's not. I know this is controversial, and I apologize for mentioning it in advance, but I really am surprised that Hogwarts Legacy is not on here.
I don't think it's a controversial take. Hogwarts Legacy was a really, really good game, and it furthered the Harry Potter universe games like into the next generation, where previously they had like some very lackluster like old school PS2 installments.
Yeah, but I have this flimsy list I'm looking at. Those are like the only two that, in my opinion, could have been up there.
Yeah, I don't know enough about other games that came out this year, but I would say honestly, I mean, based on what I've heard as far as like people's sentiment about it, Sea of Stars sounds like it, you know, were it not, you know, kind of pushed down into the indie corner, I feel like maybe that could have had a place in contention. But when it comes to a popularity contest, something like that obviously isn't going to win, which is why they split them up, I imagine. I don't
Dark and
know.
darker.
Maybe honestly even
Darker,
Armored
darker.
Core based on what Armored Core based on what I like, just everything I heard about it, all the reviews. That seems like something that could have been in the list.
Sorry, I was having a coughing fit there. Yeah, I think Armored Core could potentially have an argument to have been a contender on the list. Um, I'm a little surprised Lies of P didn't make it this far. I feel like it was really, really beloved by everyone that played it, and we know that these types of games, like they've become mainstream, whereas they used to be a little bit more niche. Um, Persona 5 didn't come out this year, did it?
What the hell? No, the game came out like 2 or 3 years ago, didn't it?
Did it?
Persona
don't know.
5 Tactica came out this year. I don't know what that is.
That's a tactics game they're making of Persona 5. Oh yeah, you're right. Jeez, it just took me so long to beat Persona 5 that I couldn't remember what year it came out.
I feel like that shit was like 2018 or something.
It's 2016.
God damn.
Maybe that's I don't know. Yeah, dude.
No,
I'm
you're probably
clearly
just thinking because
off my rocker.
it dropped on Switch this year.
Yeah, that's always confusing too. But biggest one for me, Hogwarts Legacy. I think Hogwarts Legacy not being represented on any category was an absolute travesty. That game was so well done. It wasn't perfect. I don't think it would have won. For the record, I don't think it would have stood a chance of winning. I think it maybe could have won some of the categories though, like innovative. The way they did like spells and the talent trees, like just breathes so much life, I think, into that universe. And for anyone that did play, and I think Warren, you'd probably echo this too. Maybe you wouldn't, Zell, but like experiencing the Hogwarts castle in the way that they did it was phenomenal. They did such an incredibly good job of creating Hogwarts castle that it was like, honestly, they literally could have deleted the rest of the game and just expanded like Hogwarts halls to the end of time, and it would have been so interesting and fun.
And
I was going to say the same thing.
that's the exact reason why I think it was a high potential, kind of flat payoff for me. There's a reason I didn't finish it. It is the kind of game that I would have back in the day, like tried to 100%. But it fell really flat for me, really fast. The story was just really weak. I mean, I don't know. I feel like it was just like the wrong approach. Like, I understand they want to go big, and I think it could have had a bigger impact. No one watches Hogwarts or has this great love for the Harry Potter universe based on like poachers and goblin camps in the rolling hills of the surrounding areas that have no iconography that I recognize, anything like that. There's 2 spots in Harry Potter that I really know, just like everybody else, which is Hogwarts and Hogsmeade, and like it would have been 1,000 times better served to have made like a Persona-ass, like, like school sim done right. But when it came to like, once I was done walking around the school, for me, like there was really nothing else of like a big interest for me to do in the school other than like secret collectibles and Easter eggs and stuff like that. I thought the classroom stuff was really weak. Everything about like Harry Potter that I would want to engage with, aside from like just seeing how well the school was made, which don't get me wrong, it was amazing, which is why it was that much more like when I finally left and was like, oh, Okay. Well, it just I was like, fuck, man. Like, I want to be in school. I want to play Quidditch. Like, there's a couple things I'd want out of Harry Potter, and this one's like, I don't know, man. Want to kill some nameless poachers in the wild again? This
That's
wasn't.
fair.
I wanted to spend time in my my common room. Like, that was an exciting thing. I felt like everything they did with the room of requirement felt very lonely when I was in there. It was cool to be able to customize it, and that is usually my jam. But like, when there's this entire space that was like, you know, you watch the movies and you see them hanging out in there and stuff. I'm like, this is kind of where I wanted to hang out with like other characters hanging out and being in the
I don't
school.
I don't think you got far enough, but the room of requirement gets like massive.
No, I
It
did.
opens-
I unlocked like 1,000 rooms in it, but that just made it more. I felt like a divorced rich man in a mansion. Like, it was just like, there's nothing here but me and this one goblin's like, hey man, new wallpaper. It just
Yeah, after a while you get more NPCs, and then you craft the room into being like, you can kind of craft it in whatever you want, but like I had mine this like highly functional factory of like materials and potions and stuff. It was actually super cool, and then you get like 4 different like taming sections for like breeding the monsters. So like the whole monster taming aspect they added to the game I thought was like, again, just shitting innovation. It was so goddamn good. You add in like the whole like shiny factor, like shiny Pokemon. I can concede to some of the point you make though. I think they went too far. I think it was like in the right direction. They went too far with just like nameless, like a sea of nameless camps. I loved going to Hogsmeade and other like points of interest. I like how big the game was. I do though wish that it was filled a little bit more with like more interesting places, but nevertheless.
Yeah, I was gonna say you could peel back like all of that game and just leave the castle, and like that could have been the whole game. Like that castle, just exploring the castle, especially with my wife who was like a hardcore Harry Potter fan. It was so cool exploring every room and the depth they put into it and just the detail, and like it was just like it was really magical running around there.
no,
And
really,
then
yeah. God, it was so good.
the whole like breeding thing, like the capturing and breeding of the monsters. I remember as soon as I learned that that was in the game, I was just sitting there mind blown. I was like, I can't believe they did this. Like, there was no reason for them to do that, and it was just like they added this whole other game inside of Hogwarts. I was just blown away at like the magnitude, the amount of time they put into that. Um, that was incredible. The the combat I think was mediocre. I liked exploring the world, but to your point, there was just a lot of like, I didn't know these hills were here, and it doesn't really seem like they should be here. But yeah, I mean, just exploring the castle and finding all the Easter eggs and even attending the classes, there could have been more there. I think that they probably could have again done the whole game just based off of the classes and learning things. They seemed to really rush that portion, which was strange. But yeah, I thought it was incredible.
Yeah, so congratulations to Baldur's Gate 3
For second
for
place.
second place under Resident Evil 4 Remake.
Yeah. uh, Results are announced December 7th.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay.
excited to see how the cookie crumbles. It'd be fun to unpack the results after the fact. We can duke it out then. um, Maybe next episode, Zell and we went to TwitchCon and BlizzCon this year. So I know that's something I think we've probably been itching to talk about. Wanted to touch on Game Awards though while it was present and relevant and fresh. But yeah, I think it'd be fun to unpack TwitchCon, BlizzCon. I feel like there was a lot of interesting experiences, right?
Yeah, I definitely have some opinions on both, and some advice I would give to other people that were considering going.
Yeah, that's good. I don't know. Is that it?
Yeah,
That's it.
Yeah, that's it. That's all we were talking about. You pissed me off.
Who are you guys?
What?
Who are you guys?
My name's Warren. You can find me pretty much nowhere. Kind of offline at the moment.
Oh my god. Come back to us. I am at Red World. You find me as Red World or Red World 333 or Red World 333 Gaming. Somewhere, anywhere, probably.
Yep, and then ZellXP. I'm really active on socials right now, so TikTok, YouTube, pretty much posting every day there, and then live on Twitch. I would say most days of the week, but yeah.
Thanks. God, you guys have really bad opinions.
Oh man, can't wait till I'm right about everything.
All right. And with that, we're gonna say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye. I hate you guys.